Hey guys, it's your girl Amoy and welcome back to my channel. Yeah. Guys, happy new year. Like, it's the start of a new beginning for a lot of us. So this year I want to get you guys blessings, health, wealth, and definitely new experiences throughout this year. So for this video, I'll be telling you guys a story time about how I came out as a bi to my dad. So yeah, it's quite an interesting and deep topic because it's not something that I really talk about. But that's okay. It's okay. But this happened to me back in high school. I think I was about in I want to say 10th or 11th grade. It's about the 10th or 11th grade. I want to say probably it was the 11th grade, I want to say. But I think I've been dating this girl for a few months before like it became a whole situation. So when we just started, it was kind of like on a little down low thing. Nobody really know about it. And honestly, how did I even, the way I met this girl, we're gonna call her Shannon, because it's kind of like a boy and a girl kind of name. So I don't remember, like I met her, it started out with a text, that's what I want to say. I remember she connected with me and we were talking for a while, and then she let me know that she was a lesbian and then that she was like interested in me and whatever. And back then I was down for the cause. I was down for the cause because before this relationship I was like talking to a girl before that, but it wasn't like anything serious or whatever. It was just a little flirty, kissy here and there. So when she brought this up to me or whatever, we started hanging out. We met, we hung out for a while, we went on a few dates, blah 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 blah. And this was like back in high school. So it was kind of hard to keep things on the down low because where I'm from, like within that area or where I went to school or whatever, in that downtown area, she was like well known and I was kind of well known too. So when people see us like crossing paths or see us together, it was like, you know, heads will turn. People will be like, oh, so is she gay? Like, why is she walking with that girl? It was whatever. I didn't really care, didn't really pay much of that no mind. But what I did care about was like my dad. So that was the main reason it was kind of on the down low, because even though I don't like, my business ain't really out there, my dad really knows a lot of people, and for some reason the news is always getting back to him. For whatever reason, he hears everything about my life. So during this time, like we were like talking and stuff like that, and I have two, like back then I had two friend groups. Well, I had more than two friend groups, but one of my friend group, they didn't really know about the situation and they knew the girl but they didn't know that I spoke to the girl. And I believe Shannon spoke with one of their friends or associates. I don't know how close they were. She dated that person. So that kind of sparked an issue. It kind of posed a problem, but I didn't yet to know about it. And so let me tell y'all how my family found out and how I had to come out to my dad or my family. So It all started with, like, I remember it was like a Saturday, and normally on Saturdays I would go by my aunt's house. It was just a thing. I wouldn't like to be home on a Saturday just because my grandma and my granddad at this time, and they're 70 Adventists. So you know, by Friday night with these, like, if you know, you know, Friday night the TV had to either be off by 6 o'clock or sunset, and the only thing that could play on the TV was like the church channel. That was it, just praise and worship. So Friday would go to my aunt, but for some reason this night I didn't want to go to my aunt. I was just not in the mood. I believe I wanted to like talk to Shannon. And if you know, you know, in Jamaica, the countryside, all the way back into the urban, depending on how far you go, the more you go, the more in the country you go, the less service you have, the more difficult it is for your phone to pick up service. So talking on the phone was like always like a struggle. Sending text messages was always a struggle because the service would be in and out, or you have to catch this away, you catch that away. Then sometimes I stand up on a bed and I hold my phone all the way up on the window just to have a conversation because the service would be out. Yeah, I believe that night I just didn't want to do all of that. I just wanted to stay home and talk to my girl, you know. And so I don't know what transpired during that night, but the next day, it was either the Saturday or the Sunday that my cousin was going by my aunt for dinner, and he asked if I wanted to come, and I was like, of course, like, why not? I believe it was the Saturday, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to my aunt for dinner or whatever. So I remember when I got there, things were kind of off with everyone, and kind of like there was a shift in like the whole energy and everything. And I remember I was sitting on a chair and I was texting Shannon, and I was like, we were just there texting, you know. BBM was a thing, so every time, yeah, ping, because then back then Blackberry was a thing. If you never have a Blackberry, you're not saying nothing. So I remember we were pinging, and all of a sudden my aunt asked me like, so who's Shannon? And I'm like, that was such a weird question to ask, like, how do you know Shannon? I was like, is she a lesbian or whatever? I'm like, she just started asking a bunch of weird questions. I'm like, and then at one point she started like asking why I never came the Fridays. I just was like, nothing, I just didn't want to come. And for some reason, me not being there was sparked a big problem, because apparently my cousin, my older female cousin, I guess this friend, I'm gonna name her Lee because it's like kind of a Lee name close to her name. Back from where my home is, like within the square, my dad had a barbershop. So I guess they were at the barbershop, and I guess my friend Lee was upset about a situation or whatever, or because I never told her. I don't know why she was upset, but according to my female cousin, she was like telling me how, and she was saying this in front of everyone, by the way, saying that, oh, the girls say me and her not talk again because some men are not talk because me with one girl, and oh, me never tell her somebody with a girl, and oh, the girl, how it caused a problem with friendship and all sort of stuff. That she was like telling me that she not like lesbian girl, and oh, am I a lesbian, and blah blah blah, and oh, nobody never tell her, and what me I do a nastiness. And a whole bunch of stuff. So she was basically saying all of this and was like, oh, that's why I'm waiting in a one mood and never want to come. And I'm like, what? Like, firstly, it's the first I'm hearing all of this. That's brand new to me. Literally, the reason why I never went was because I couldn't bother with the cell phone service. Literally. So all of that are news to me. And like, while they did that talk, I'm texting Shannon, I'm like telling her what's going on, and the conversation where everybody are having, like I'm literally texting her, and out of nowhere, I'm pretty sure my cousin like snatched my phone out of my hand, because I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact I never gave him my phone, because he like literally snatched my phone out of my hand while me a text. And he's like, so like, and it was like, so no Shannon this year text, so you just so you don't know who name. So like, how do you tell us that you don't know who the person is but you're texting them? And then my aunt took the phone and she was looking through the messages and she's like, oh wait, so you're really a date woman. And it sparked up a whole thing. Like they confiscated my phone, like one bag of chatting, just bag of chatting. Like for what reason? I remember they called my dad and father go off and all these things. And like I could laugh about it now, but back then it was like nothing to laugh about. And yeah, so all of that took place on the weekend. I remember my dad, when they called my dad and told my dad, and my dad told me, and she's like, oh yeah, they would woman now, you're batty girl, look at nastiness, you're a disgrace, you're a disgrace and a disappointment, you look a pussy wall, you. And like he was going off. And like I'm telling you, my dad literally called me every single name in the book. He called whatever I be, any bad thing I have to say, my father say it. Any name I can think of, him say it. And it was just the ignorance for me. But anyways, after a while, like I couldn't get a word in and just got off and then he hung up the phone. And that was that. So eventually the Monday I end up going to school, I never have no phone or whatever. So I'm gonna use my friend phone for message Shannon and make sure know where they're going and that me not have no phone. And because of everything would transpire, I knew that my dad was gonna come to Jamaica soon, especially because I know every time I like was in any little issue or nothing, it would have fly down like within a week time, it reached down. So it was pretty easy for me to get access to his email because like I already knew his email address, and like every parent or most parent, them password are always the oldest like child, always a password. So like I'm go through putting my name and putting like probably 1 2 3 or some little number or whatever, and access granted in the email. In a email, some start scroll through to look for all I email them I get. So till I saw like I saw a flight confirmation. I think it was from like JetBlue, or was it JetBlue? I don't know. It was some I don't remember, but I saw like a flight confirmation. So I was checking it and stuff. I remember say like the Thursday. It was a Thursday, the following Thursday, the Thursday of that week, he was gonna be, I need to go touchdown I had. So I remember that Thursday, I was at school. I think I ended up, I'm pretty sure I ended up getting back my phone from my aunt. I don't know why, but or whatever, but I'm pretty sure I ended up getting back my phone. But I remember my quote unquote, this person is supposed to be a friend, turns out he's a fool, but I'll tell you. This person was supposed to be like a friend, like a good friend. And I remember he called. I'm like, yo, your father there at Jamaica? Like, I'm sure me just see me na your, like my guy cousin. I'm sure me just see me na your cousin Kiar. Like, I'm pretty sure him see your father there at Jamaica, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh crap, alright. That call right there just told me that my dad's there. So I remember going through deleting stuff, call Shannon and tell her, Shannon, so like, yo, my dad's here, don't message me, don't call me, like if I need to get in contact with you, I'll get in contact with you, you don't get in contact with me. So like all of that, like delete message and all of that. But yeah, I remember I reached home and like I'm waiting for him to waiting for him to get home, and no father. 6 o'clock come, no father. 7 o'clock come, no father. 8 o'clock come, no father. Somewhere along the line I fell asleep. I remember while I was sleeping, I heard like it was a loud smack, and I felt it, and it's like I jumped out of my sleep, and it was like my dad, he slapped me on like my leg, at the back of my leg, and that shit burnt. That shit scared me out of my sleep. And he was just like, come upstairs. So the house that I lived in, it was like a 3-story home, and I lived in the middle section. So I remember walking past my grandma or whatever to go upstairs, and when I got upstairs, everybody and their mama they upstairs. Like my cousins are upstairs, auntie they upstairs, sister they upstairs, like everybody upstairs. Like I had a lot of cousins. But anyways, them sitting on my couch, me sitting on one side, and my father started asking me, who name Shannon? And I never really did an answer. So he went into the kitchen, and I'm gonna insert like either a picture or video right here of the item that he got from the kitchen. So it's basically a hose that, like, you know the water that sprays, you have the hose or whatever, is retractable, so you could pull it down and you could spray whatever you need to spray or put water in whatever you need to put water in. As it has the metal thing at the end, he cut that off. I don't remember if he cut it off both ends or just one end. And I remember he like made it into, say it was like this, he made it into a loop like this, and he basically had it in his hand, and he come back and he slung. He sat there in the couch and he asked me like again, who named Shannon, and he was like, are your girlfriend, you gay now, you a woman, blow. And the first one hit me, I believe, like right across here, and that shit hurted. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you oh my gosh, that shit hurt. And then he said something else again, and I'm like, you think you're big now? And another one, and this time the next one go cross my leg. And like, I saw him ask the question them, I saw him slap me. So it's like, so yeah, take picture with girl, like kiss up, ploop. Like, yeah, go out again, ploop. Like, yeah, go meet girl and sleep with girl, ploop. And it's like every time he talked, there was a slap. And like I said, because of what he was hitting me with, that shit hurted so bad. And I remember everyone just looking at me, and nobody was saying anything, and they were just literally looking at me. And then I remember he said something, and he regarding my sister, such as how is she supposed to feel when she in our room at change and it wanna share the same room. I remember thinking, why would I be watching my sister change? And I remember she was like, she said something along the lines of, me not like lesbian girl, me don't know, oh, me and her go share the same room, we can't forget just in my room. I'm like, huh? Like, why would I be watching my sister get dressed? For what? And then and then eventually my aunt was like, oh, you have to stop liquor, you have to stop liquor, which is basically like telling him that it's time to stop like hitting me, because like she was like, your skin a wheel up, all of them they go show tomorrow, and you know what, when she reach a school they send police for you. That's the show. That's to show how bad I was actually getting beat with the instrument that I was getting hit with. And eventually, after the interrogation and all the questions and stuff, it was like, move out of my face, man, move out of my face, go your room. So basically like telling me to leave and to go to my room. And I got my phone and my laptop like confiscated, and they took them, or he took them. And I remember I was crying so much that I got to my room And I remember at this time, trigger warning, I used to cut, and this event, like everything that took place, like I just felt unwanted and unneeded, and I had like all these suppressed emotions just coming back to the surface. And I went to my room and I got a razor. It wasn't a deep wound or anything to like I was trying to commit suicide or anything. It was just basically to focus my mind on something else rather than what was actually like going on. So I did that. So yeah, I remember focusing on like the pain and the burn from the slits rather than what was actually going on in the house at that time. And the next morning I woke up, I had like a whole bunch of wheal marks, like areas of my skin were swollen, and I had black and blue marks all over. And I remember my body just hurted so bad. I just remembered my body hurted so bad, and I had to go to school the next day. And I got dressed, and when I was about to leave, obviously I had to have manners and be like, I'm leaving. So I said good morning, and he embraced me, and my body was just aching. I didn't embrace him back. And then he said to me, do you want tea? Out of everything that happened the night prior, the only thing you could ask me is, do you want tea? That was his exact words. Do you want tea? I declined his offer, and then I said I had to get to school. And he said, let me ask you, why did you do this? Like, are you being forced? Does she have something on you? Are you being blackmailed? I'm like, no. I mean, those questions he could have asked me the night before instead of being all ignorant. But rather than having a sit-down conversation, I was being beaten on in front of everyone. So I went to school, and I remembered everyone asking me like, what's wrong with you? Like, they could have seen the marks. And when they would come near me, like to brace me or whatever, I would back off because I couldn't hug anyone. And people would always be embracing me, and my skin hurted so bad. And yeah, I kept having breakdowns throughout the day. That didn't stop me from having a relationship with Shannon at all. A lot of Jamaican parents basically have this mentality, or where they're like super homophobic or whatever the sense may be. They're not really, if you're gay, is like a whole bad thing or whatever. So ignorance is yeah. So I remember that happened, and that will stick with me for the rest of my life, because it's still something that I just try to till this day to get over, but I can't. I do have a bit of resentment towards my dad, not only because of that situation but other situations as well. But I do not understand, like, how does me dating a female affect anyone? How did me dating a female affect him? Like, I feel like he was just worried about like what his friends would say. What his friends would say and how people would like see him or portray him and his image or whatever. But he cared more about that than how I felt. And during that time, I feel like I was going through a lot, and Shannon was, she was the person that was there for me throughout it. And I never made, because of that situation, I stopped talking to her or whatever. The relationship still went on, so like I don't see what the whole point of that was. But I still snuck around and dated her even through all of that. I think we were together for like probably 2 years, 2 to 3 years, somewhere along that line. Eventually my cousins came around, but yeah. But for now, that is my story. That is how I came out as bi to my family. It wasn't by choice. I don't even think that, just, yeah, it wasn't by choice, and the events that took place definitely wasn't the best. But yeah, that's it for this video. It kind of got a little bit personal, a little bit deep. I know I didn't give too much details, but yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out. Bye. Bye guys.